So this is the Galaxy Note 4. This is one of Samsung's best-selling phones. Let's get right to it. Of course, in the box with the Galaxy Note 4, you're going to get the usual. You're going to get your power block. Let's get that out here. You're going to get your manuals and warranty information, T's and C's, all of that. You'll get your power cord, the earpieces, the headphones, and SIM tools. So all the things you're going to get in the box with your Galaxy Note 4. Again, the charging brick, the power cord, which now is a micro USB cord as opposed to the USB 3.0 from the Note 3. Note 4 has the fingerprint scanner, which is pretty on point. We'll get into that a little more in a moment. First things first, one of the things you first notice when you use the Note is it is fast. I actually have animations turned off so that things move around a little faster, just for the simple fact that, again, I want it as quick as possible. I want it moving as quick as possible. I want everything just nice and zippy there for my tastes. The things they've changed most recently on the Note 4 with this latest version of TouchWiz are the multi-window multitasking. Beautiful, all done without a hitch. It's very fast, opening, closing, moving around the interface, painless. Some of that may have to do with the fact that TouchWiz has been toned down quite a bit more this time, and where it's visible, I didn't find it intrusive, but more on that later. Now, when you first get the Samsung Galaxy Note 4, one of the things you'll have on there is Flipboard. So when you're trying to flip through your home screens, you can only go so far, because if you keep going to the left, you're going to have Flipboard pop up. Now, if you like Flipboard, seeing your RSS, seeing your feed, seeing your news information all in one place, it's a great item. If you want to flip through your home screens, it's really easy to turn off. Just hold down and you come up with home screen settings. So you have wallpapers, widgets, and home screen settings options. So you're going to tap on home screen settings and you just simply, boom, turn off Flipboard briefing. Again, like I said earlier in the review, I turn off the transition effect, again, so everything just moves around faster for me. So now you can see I can flip through all my home screens without coming up to the Flipboard screen as one of them. This being the Note 4, let's start off with the first item, which is the S Pen. When you remove the S Pen, what you'll notice now is that you have four options. Gone are Pen Window, S Finder, and Scrapbooker, and now you have Action Memo, Smart Select, Image Clip, and Screen Write. Let's start off with Screen Write. Screen Write is exactly what it sounds like. It takes a screenshot of the entire screen, it pops it up, and then allows you to write on the image. So you can just go into pen settings, and you can choose your color palette, and go ahead and make any annotations you want to make on the screen, and then send that image off to a friend. Or if you don't like the annotations you made, you can go ahead and delete the image. In addition, the other items you're going to find in the Air Command menu. Next up is Image Clip. Image Clip allows you to draw around an area of the screen and it'll clip that. And once it does, you can then send that image. Again, you can share it out to wherever you want to share it to. You can save it to the scrapbook. You can do whatever you want with that image. And again, that just draws around a selected area of the screen. Let's go through the others. Smart Select. It's pretty much the same as Image Clip. In this case, you draw a rectangle. You've got your rectangle. You can either save that rectangle as a collection in your scrapbook, or the other kind of cool feature is if you don't want to immediately save that, what you can do is just save it to your desktop. And if you're going to add, let's say, other clips, other portions of the screen, you can go ahead and save those to that. Let's say you're just clipping a few different screenshots to send off. You can clip all those together. It's kind of almost like a gallery of screenshots that you want to send off. And then once you know what you want to do with them, you can then go ahead and share all those images you just clipped, or you can take those images and save them to your scrapbook. Next up in Air Command is Action Memo. Action Memo is a very cool function that allows you to take anything you write in a memo and attach it to an action, such as a phone call, a contact entry, a message. Any number of different options are available to you as action memos, and it's very cool. If you want to, let's say, just write a note and not a link in action to it, you can save the note, and it's going to be saved in S Note. Additionally, if you want to then take and keep it on the top of mind, you want to keep it front and center, you can also pin that note. So if you write a little note and then you want to come back to it something later, you can actually just hold down the pin, boom, drop it right on your desktop, and that'll be ready for you to come back to later. I know sometimes I forget things, and having it right there front and center will make it easier to actually remember at a later time. And again, just like anything else, once you're ready to dump it, you can just hold it down like you would any widget and delete it, remove it from your desktop. Multi-window is one of the features that the Note originally used to differentiate itself from many products. Other products, other manufacturers such as LG have actually caught on and instituted their own versions of multi-window, but the multi-window on the Note is by far the best implementation of that functionality on a phablet that I've used so far. So let's get right into that. Though TouchWiz is toned down, Samsung seen fit to expand the multi-window functionality and make a tool that was already great for productivity even more productive. I have to admit that I didn't use multi-window as much as I'd care to admit that I did, but opening up the split window is definitely useful. I just didn't find myself using it that often. But with this new pop-up window capability, I've actually used multi-window quite a bit. So there's 3 different ways to access the pop-up windows. Here's how it works. Let's open up a full screen app. Now, with a full screen app open, you can just drag down from the right side of the screen or even the left side, and you'll get this pop-out window right here. When you tap on that, that's going to give you some other options to be able to use the pop-out window. You can close it, you can maximize it, you can minimize it down to this little chat head, this little floating bobble, which will then allow you to keep that app open on top of anything else you might be using. So, if you have 3 or 4 of these open, they'll stay on top of everything so that while you're using other apps, you actually have quick access to those apps. Even works with the camera. So you can open up the camera and let's say you want quick access to the camera, you can keep the camera open at all times if you wanted to, just floating right there on the desktop so that as you're jumping between different apps, let's jump in here, you'll actually be able to see your other items floating on top so that if you want to access them, there they are, quick and easy to access. Very powerful feature, very useful feature. I've actually used multi-window more on this Note 4 than I have with the previous Note 3. Excellent, 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 excellent. So what are the other ways to get to this? The other ways you can get to multi-window are by holding down the back button like you used to with the Note 3. And in this case, you can, again, just, let's pop that out again. You can just tap and it opens up. And like I said before, this phone is just fast. So even with the chat heads open, gallery open, let's go ahead and open up the browser. And so you've got all these apps open, and you see that even with everything open, I'm still just flipping right through this gallery, no lag. This is just a powerful, powerful device. You see now I have 4 of these windows open. There is a third option for accessing pop-out windows or multi-window, and that is here in the fast app switcher or the task switcher. You can just enter that mode and see these windows with the little multi-window icon on the sides of them. You can just tap on any one of those and you will actually be able to open that window up in the split window version of multi-window. So I showed you how to open the multi-window up or pop-out window from here. There's also another way, and the third and final way is you can actually move through the fast app switcher, and you'll see that you have icons here that have the multi-window icon on them. You can go ahead and tap that, and that will also open up those items in multi-window. Some interesting changes to TouchWiz seem to be in anticipation of Android's newest release, the upcoming version Android L or Lollipop. One feature is the way that multitasking now works. Now, you saw that when I showed you multi-window. As opposed to a set of stacked icons like you had on the Note 3, you now get your multi-window as these cards that you can flip through. I actually think this is better. It's more dense. You can see more information. It just is more aesthetically pleasing to me. And of course, just like with the previous version of TouchWiz, you'll see the pie graph down here, which allows you to go into the RAM and see which apps are open and running so that you can end them if you wanted to and free up RAM, clear up some RAM. Or if you wanted to, you can also just hit the icon over here, which will kill everything running in the RAM. One area which really stood out for me in Samsung's update to TouchWiz is the phone dialer. When you jump into the phone dialer on the Note 4, it is a flat design. Android is releasing something called, or Google's releasing Android L Lollipop, which features material design, which is a flat design aesthetic, a flat design language, which is actually rather nice and rather pleasing to the eye. So instead of all these rounded edges and drop shadows, you really just get a flat, almost like paper. So if you're working with construction paper and just cutting and laying things out, it really has just this flat design to it that again is aesthetically pleasing. And on the previous Note 3, you had the menu button down here. Now again, that's the fast app switcher. So since there is no menu button, your menu button's now up top. You'll see it there. That's where you'll be able to get to those settings that you normally would have gotten to with the previous menu button that was at the bottom left of the capacitive button on the phone. Additionally, if you go into the logs, now that there's no menu button, you have the all calls up top where you'll be able to go in and decide what you'd like to see in terms of which information you're presented with when you go to the logs. Do you want to just see calls? Do you only want to see missed calls? All your messages, sent and received text messages. You can choose that all right there. And they've actually made it a little faster. And I know this is not maybe a big deal for some people, but with the Note 3, it took 3 taps, 3 presses to get to this menu. With this, in 2 presses, you're done. You've actually gone here, you tap once, you choose what you want, and you're done. And again, the menu button is up top with the 3 dots. Favorites is another section that I really like, improved in this. With the old favorites, it was just a stacked set of names, and you really didn't get as many. You only had 9 names on the screen. With this new favorites, you have 12 names on the screen at one time, so it's information dense. You get to see more at a glance. Really appreciate that. Really like that. And it just makes getting to people, getting to things, and being able to see them all in one place a little faster. Also, Note 4 users rejoice. Google Now is back as the quick launch item when you hold down the home button. It may seem like a small thing, but on the Note 3, you had to hold down the home button, which took you to the task switcher, and then you had to tap the Google search icon at the bottom of the screen. These may seem like trivial complaints, but a phone's UI, for the most part, should be about getting to the things you use most as efficiently as possible. Heck, any computing device, for that matter, should be about those things. An app that I really like on the latest version of TouchWiz that's been updated is SHealth. I know a lot of people may not actually think too much or think too highly of this with all the wearable tech and all the various apps that have come out, Misfit and Pebble, and all these various apps that have information. But I really like this. Now, the downside to this app is that the heart rate monitor, the blood oxygen saturation monitor, they're not consistent. Flat out, they just are not very consistent. But the things that I've found that are very consistent are the pedometer, and I really like the food diary. So with this, I found that it actually has quite a bit of information that's already in it. So if you want to add, let's say, a breakfast, you can go into the categories, breads and cereals. One of my favorite things to eat in the morning is actually oatmeal. And I know it's kind of sugary, but I really like Quaker oatmeal. So as you see, it's already pulling up different Quaker items. I'm a big fan of raisins and spice oatmeal from Quaker. So I'm going to type in raisins and spice. And I'm going to type in Quaker. And you'll see that, here we go, instant oatmeal, raisins and spice, Quaker. I usually eat 2 packets, sometimes 3 if I'm really hungry. But you'll see I've got my fat content. I see how much sugar. I can see how much protein, see how many calories. Just click done there, click done here. Now, of course, the one thing that everybody rails on with Samsung devices is the menus. There is just a ton of things you can actually set to show up in the menu, but you can also move things in and out. You can set up the settings menu even so that it's a little easier to use. When you first get the settings menu, when you first get the phone, you're going to have it as a list. So it's just going to be this long list of all these various items. What you can do is go to the menu, view as, change it to tab view. Tab view makes it a little easier to navigate. So you can go into quick settings, connections, device, controls, or general settings. Applications being the last one. And so it really just makes it easier to kind of get through what you want to set because you have a kind of a quicker idea of where those items are going to be. Again, if you want to turn on or change a Bluetooth setting, you know that's going to be in connections. So Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the download booster, any of these items, NFC, connecting to a wireless printer. Again, these are all connections. These are all things you're connected to, so they're going to be easier to find. Device functions, the sound, the display, changing wallpapers, lock screens, your notification panel, and one-handed operation, which is a great one for people who actually have smaller hands but really like the phablet. As a matter of fact, let's get into one-handed operation and talk about that briefly. One of the things that I really use and really like is reduced screen size. The way that works is by allowing you to swipe from one side of the screen to the next quickly like that, and you now have the screen minimized so that you can easily access everything from, with just one hand here. So it's all right here within thumb's reach. And then you just hit the maximize button and you're back in your full screen mode for the Note 4. So definitely I turn that on. I don't particularly care for the one-handed input item here. I like my keyboard nice and big, which is why I actually like these phablet phones. I really like a large keyboard. It makes it easier for me to type on. So one thing that some people may miss with the Note 4 is that if you go into display and you actually go into brightness and turn it on automatic brightness, when you're out in direct sunlight, the phone will actually do this very interesting thing where it takes the screen and makes it super bright. When you're in that really just bright direct sunlight where it gets harder to read the screen, it'll take it and make it just super bright. It's hard to show you indoors because of, there's not a whole lot of sunlight here to do this. But actually, when you get the phone, you go ahead and put it on automatic brightness, and you'll see outdoors that actually happens pretty quickly. It's a very cool function. It really makes it easy to see outdoors. I haven't seen that on any other phone. So again, in order to access that, you're going to turn the phone to auto, and you'll notice it. Just look at your screen, hold your hand over it to shade it, and then move your hand and see it in direct sunlight, and you'll see it just pop. Last thing I'm going to show you, fingerprint scanner setup. So let's go into the fingerprint scanner. And it's actually very easy to set up. I already have 3 fingers set up in the fingerprint scanner. So I'm going to actually just delete one, and I'll show you how easy it is to go ahead and add one. So let's go ahead and add one now. You're just going to swipe your finger over that fingerprint reader. And I swipe it over it different ways so that no matter where I'm at, what angle I'm at, I'm actually able to get it to pass. So there you go. You're done. You've added a fingerprint. And now, when you turn the phone on, you can go ahead and swipe your thumb and get right into the device.